Welcome in. This is your 2022 golf preview brought to you by Odds Checker. I'm Rick Gehman. That right there, it's Geoff Fienberg. Geoff, can you believe 2021? It's in the books, my friend. We are looking ahead to golf in a brand new year here shortly.
Yes, and I feel like we've discussed it before, Rick. I will never allow myself to buy into the swing season calendar starting. It always just starts for me in Hawaii. With the actual new year. That's how I'll never allow my mind to look at it how the PGA Tour wants me to look at it. So yes, the new season is upon us. I'm super excited. It seems like the game is in as good of a place as it could ever be at the moment.
The depth is unbelievable. You know, there seems to be 10 or 12 really strong players that you would not be surprised could win a major championship. And then the depth after that into the 20s is phenomenal. But this is kind of our betting preview and one of the few opportunities that we get to talk real strategy and real theory. And one of the things that you and I have been kind of jiving about behind the scenes is the idea of kind of riding the golfers that you like, or riding the golfers that are in form that you think might be finding a win here shortly. As you know, Geoff, it's always a little disheartening. A guy that you bet the week previous goes out and wins a golf tournament and you were just a week early. So let's talk about maybe a little bit of theory and strategy when we find guys that we like in good form, in a good spot on the schedule. How realistically long could we ride these golfers?
Yeah, that's something I battle with all the time, Rick, because also in the concept of making content and giving picks, sometimes I get blowback when the same guy is just appearing on my card. But you have this intrinsic belief in watching these guys week in, week out that no, that guy is a winner. And so long as he's priced at a certain price point, you hope above, 30, 40 to 1. I don't see any issue with riding a guy to the wall, especially if the stats show that the form is there. And you obviously have that intrinsic belief that that player can win. Now, you made an incredible case study as last season unwound to just auto betting Morikawa and the fruits that would have represented. That is a little bit of, he could be an outlier, right? Because he was such a good player that was still getting priced so big. And now the market has caught up to him that you're probably not going to be able to make $100 Morikawa auto bet every week, because the days of him ever creeping above 35, 40 to 1 are probably done forever at the moment in time.
At the moment. So this is what I tweeted out. So this was on November 13th. If you bet $100 on Collin Morikawa for every event of his PGA Tour career, you'd be up $10,600. His 5 wins, as you kind of noted, Geoff. Longer odds, 35 to 1, 46 to 1, 34, 31. And then his most recent was 10 to 1. Those are PGA Tour victories. And that was in November. So he actually piled on another European Tour victory since the time that I tweeted it out. But I think this is what you're really good at. And the thing that I always learn from you on a weekly basis is kind of the ebbs and flows of the market. And that's what you see with Collin Morikawa. Was he 12 to 1 a week ago and then he missed the cut and we get a couple more studs and now he's 22 to 1, or these kind of natural ebbs and flows and removing the recency bias of a golfer who might have finished T46 or missed a cut in a week where you liked him. That's not stopping that guy from winning his next start. So it is kind of a battle against your own brain, in my opinion, Geoff, of taking guys for a 5-event stretch, maybe even a 10-event stretch, depending on what their odds are, just assuming that it's coming because you like what you see.
Yeah, and I would say, geez, one of the hardest things about this, Rick, and I give so much credit to friends of mine in the community who are able to do it, is the discipline it takes. I got friends, they just like betting the majors, and they can go balls to the wall to the major and lose the bets and lose, what they're comfortable losing, but sometimes a lot. But they don't need to wake up the next day and bet the RBC. Do you know what I mean? They're not betting again until an event they like that's cool, like a match play or something that tickles they're fancy. But creating rules and being disciplined and sticking to them is so important. And I don't remember the event it was last year. The week before, Morikawa was incredible at the WGC. I said on my odds checker preview, I bet him. I'm like, Morikawa is over 30-1, and I think this needs to just be an auto bet. Let's make this rule. Let's auto bet it. I didn't even stick with it the next week. I just got excited about other golfers. And yeah, I'm still bothered about that, but you get over it. But being disciplined, I would say, is as important as anything with golf betting. And my most important rule I would give all my friends there when coming to golf betting, you just sometimes got to accept the loss, Rick. The worst thing you can do is try to chase it all weekend on some like live chalk bet. You know what I mean? Like that, just because I got to be back the next week, betting the week. I don't want to, by the time a tournament's over, be, 4 tournaments worth of exposure because I was chasing. You got to just sometimes accept winning golf tournaments is luck and random, and you can get blown off the board, and just accept it and wait for next week.
There's another tournament next week. Don't forget that. I love that advice from you, Geoff. Major championships are where the vast majority of people are going to wager. If you're only going to bet a couple of times a year, these are the events. The handle's obviously much larger, and also, Geoff, the odds available year-round. So let's look at some of the grids here on Odds Checker, because we've got Masters odds, we've got Open Championship odds, we've got US Open odds, and we don't have to deep dive each one of these individually, but let me just recap kind of the state of the market here as we enter 2022. For the Masters, Jon Rahm is your favorite. 10-1 currently is the best price that you can get on him at Caesars, and PointsBet 9-1 in most other places. Jordan Spieth, a clear second, 12-1, with Dustin Johnson, Justin Thomas, and Rory McIlroy at 14-1. That's the Masters. The Open Championship, Jon Rahm, again, your favorite. Brooks Koepka back in the mix here, 14-1, along with Jordan Spieth, and Dustin Johnson and Rory McIlroy rounded out with 16-1. And then the U.S. Open, no surprise again, Jon Rahm 10-1, Brooks Koepka, Dustin Johnson, Rory McIlroy rounding out your favorites there. Geoff, my big takeaway here, or at least the thing that I noticed the most, U.S. Open, Brooks Koepka has generally the second shortest odds, 14-1. The Open Championship, same thing, second shortest odds, 14-1. The Masters, Brooks Koepka is the 8th shortest at 20-1. That's an event that he finished 7th or better in 2 of the last 3 trips to Augusta National. That stuck out like a sore thumb to me right out of the gate.
Yeah, I mean, nothing really inside the top stuck out to me, Rick. I'll be honest. Their ability to price these major championships, it's quite evident that the money they take on these, because we get to like the first or the second leg of the FedEx Cup, and we're getting incredible pricing. There's like 4 guys under 20-1, not what am I staring at here at the Masters? Like 10? Yeah. So I don't know how to make a move right now. Even like, I just wouldn't even know how to bet it. You have, for one of these guys, I assume all these numbers for the most part will essentially be there for you unless one of them becomes that amazing player early in the season. So for me, I don't run to bet any favorites when it comes to futures. I'm sort of trying to, find my hero in the weeds. What's frustrating about major betting, though, Rick, is when guys play great, their odds get slashed instantly. But if guys have really struggled and disappeared, the books are like, no, these are elite players. This major isn't for X amount of months. We'll just trust that he's going to be playing well by then. So you never get the value on a struggle, but you're always paying the price if a guy shows the slightest bit of form on major futures, let alone Masters, but it's the first one up.
Yeah, the fact that Dustin Johnson's still 10-1 at DraftKings after probably the worst year that he's had in quite some time is proving your point. So okay, Geoff, so if we're trying to bet futures and we're trying to bet major championships months in advance, what are we looking for? Are we looking for those long shots? Are we looking for guys that we are just trying to be early on as they might get into form? Guys that if they win early on the 2022 calendar, their odds are going to be cut in half. Is there a section of the board, maybe 50 to 1, 60 to 1 or longer, that we could kind of live in and throw a couple of darts this far out?
Listen, it's so hard now for me also, Rick, because it seems like every year we're adding like another handful of elite players to the crop. And it's hard to get over the fact that like one of those top 12 players in the world is going to have their A game. And am I just donating money? But for me, these donations have kind of worked out. Have hit Willett and Woodland at huge bombs, and they're kind of the bigger major winners that have hit the last few years. So I got no issues trying to stretch the board. But really, for starters, I have to believe the guy can win. I don't care if it's 100 now and it's going to be 70 the week of. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's not enough for me. I still have to think the guy is capable of winning a big event. And I will tell you, there are a couple players, staring at the Masters board right now that linger around that 66 to 1 on the odds checker grid. And it's guys like Gehman and Connors. And I think they profile really well for a bunch of the majors this year, to be perfectly honest, Rick. And I might duck, but I know you're with me on Connors. We got to do a draft together. Neither of us got him, but you would have snaked him from me, even if he survived past where he went. So that makes me really encouraged about Corey Connors' season, because I know you're high on him.
Yeah, absolutely. 66 to 1, Corey Connors, along with Joaquin Niemann, the best price for the Masters, according to the odds checker grid. Yeah, Connors is a guy that, the sentiment on him has faded because he only had that one win at this point. It feels like a decade ago. I guess it was 2 seasons ago, but with everything that's happened, it feels longer than that. But he has been such a great ball striker. He is deadly with the driver. He has been piling up top 20 finishes. I do really like the outlook for Corey Connors. Let's put a bow on Masters talk with this, because you mentioned something that I want to mine into a little bit. You said, I have to feel that they can win. What types of characteristics make you feel, and I know this is intangible, I know this is hard to quantify, but like, I imagine it would be hard to suspect that a major champion is going to come as a first victory for a golfer. Like, would you have liked to have seen them raise a trophy at some point in the near past? Like, what are we looking for?
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's a very vague comment that I just have to believe they can win. But they're just like, value doesn't do it enough for me, because it's a tournament where all the best players in the world are trying to peak for this moment. So like I said, it's just more like, I have to have this belief that you are going to be a major champion, that you are worthy of that, let alone needing some value. But value alone in a field as deep as major championships isn't enough. And of course, you want guys to be battle tested. But at the same time, some of these rules, Rick, we might need to blow them out the window, because like we're seeing in every sport, like from the team sports to individual sports, guys are coming out of college. They're coming out of that tunnel, like ready to do things that they weren't ready to do. Maybe even when guys, me and you were not old, but when we started capping golf, guys like Mark, you weren't supposed to win the Open on your second try or your second links like pro event, even if you were a great golfer. What Zalatoris did in that fall major, wasn't really supposed to happen. So we kind of need to chill on some of those hardened expectation or pre-performance rules that golf lives so steadily by in the past.
The PGA Tour has never been so deep. It has seemingly never been so young. Let me read off a couple of these young guns for you, Geoff, who currently reside inside the top 30 of the official world golf rankings. I include Colin Morikawa, second-ranked player in the world. Victor Hovland, 7th. I could throw in Scotty Scheffler, the 11th-ranked player in the world. Sung Jae Im, he's 26. And Joaquin Niemann, the 30th-ranked player in the world. This used to be a conversation, Geoff, about the young guns and how we ranked them that was limited to mostly Morikawa, Victor, and Matthew Wolff. I think we've got to expand it. I think we've got to have hard conversations about how good those guys are, not just as young guns, but compared to the rest of the players on the planet. And also guys like Sung J M and Joaquin Niemann, who are seemingly much older than they actually are because of how long we've seen them for.
Yeah, it is quite incredible. And excuse me, Rick, I should probably know this, but how old is Sam Burns?
Oh, Sam Burns, I believe, is 25. Yeah, I completely whiffed on Sam Burns. He is,
but that's just, another example of like these guys. They're coming, and I love having this conversation, but I have it on video knowing like I could probably be really wrong because you could order these guys anyway. And, it's fair to think that they'll all be like very good at different things. Like one of them might be like exceptional at majors, like we're seeing Morikawa. One of them might like just win a lot, but not win a major. A guy like Matthew Wolff strikes me as a guy that, he might, how do I put this? In 8 years from now, he might literally just have 8 wins, a win each year. Like he's just a winner. A guy
he might just pile up 3M Open and Rocket Mortgage Classic and whatever else.
Yeah,
right?
Or even a nice one, once in a while. But like, if you're like, who's gonna have the longest consecutive streak of a win per year? Like to me, Matthew Wolff is just almost as worthy. So there's so many ways you could frame the conversation, but it is so exciting. And guys like Niemann, who we've known forever, who to some people like might not feel part of the group, is equally a part of the group when going by age. And instead of going to college, he's just been learning on the fly as a professional, much like Sung J M. It is incredible. Like it is so much fun. The world needs Tiger, and there's that conversation to be had, and we're so lucky that's coming back. But to the people watching this show, like there's still such a level of satisfaction with what is happening when we sit down on a Sunday or a Thursday morning for us. But
thank you. Yes. Joaquin Niemann was born in 1998. He is
insane.
23 years old. That is unfathomable because he won the Greenbrier. Again, it feels forever ago. That was September of 2019. So over 3 years ago. He was like 19 years old when he won it. It's fascinating. I think we think he's much older than he is. Is Morikawa the clear like elite guy? Obviously, he is on a literally historic start to his career, 60 events in. The only person who could even match it is named Tiger Woods, who obviously has had a pretty good career. Is this sustainable? Is this a great run? Is he the clear 1A guy? And are we watching something that we will talk about in 20 years as historic?
It's the clear 1A guy. It's hard to make it like he's not 1A. But the crazy thing is, Rick, and you're going to experience this, I could easily put me in front of a room and camera anywhere you want and tell me I got to argue on behalf of Viktor Hovland to have the better year, to have the better next 2 years, to have the better next 5 years. Like I could do that, and I could sell somebody on that potentially. I almost want to say, is Viktor Hovland, and people who've watched us, like everybody, everyone loves him. So you don't even need to preface that. He's just so lovable and likable, and you've even gotten to know him on a personal level, and he's just like a normal guy, which is incredible. Mm-hmm. Is he maybe the most overvalued golfer on the planet? I mentioned it already in some of our preseason recordings, Rick. Me and you did a draft with a lot of big names in this industry. He went higher than even people who really like him probably think he would have gone. And it wasn't even like a collective, like, oh my God, you did that. It was like from the gallery, because we all wanted to overdraft him. So is he overvalued? Like for him to make good on where he was drafted, for him to make good on the price points now, the type of season he has to have needs to be better than, I don't even want to say a name, but like, because you could list any of them, but like needs to be better than Bryson.
Yeah. I'm happy to call Viktor a friend. I was ready to overdraft him in that draft that you are referring to, and I would not have taken him in that spot. So if that sets the expectation, I was excited to try to get him in the 6th spot, didn't even get there, right? So I understand what you're saying, and there is definitely a perception, and you're right. It's because of how likable he is. It's because he has hoisted a couple of trophies. Guys that don't move the needle, that are not as exciting, even like Patrick Cantlay. Patrick Cantlay, phenomenal golfer, not very exciting. He is kind of undervalued in his golf because of the personal side of it. The thing that I think is so interesting about Victor in this conversation, and of course you're going to get me. Yeah, I'm gonna make this argument. He's got the modern game, which is the ball striking. The thing that I find really interesting is he did not start playing golf until he was 13. He's 24. He's only played golf for 11 years, and he's the 7th ranked player in the world. He might just be a natural sent from the heavens. Like, you know what I mean? Like, what happens when he gets 5 or 6 more years of development? I'm scared for everybody.
Yeah, no, I'm like smiling just thinking about how that can happen. And honestly, just thinking the only way I'm going to bet him, Rick, is what I did last year. And I cashed it late. Vic by a field goal. Because, I know that second win he got wasn't by it, but I just feel like, and I've said it so many times, when he wins that major, it's going to be like vintage Rory-esque. Like some of these wins are going to be by touchdowns.
I'm so happy that bet cashed, because we talked about it so many weeks, and then it finally came through. That was one of like my favorite moments of the year, I think.
Yeah, and just seeing him win, but I'll like put you on the spot. Well, I guess like who's the most likely first time major winner this year? And I guess last year Rahm was the easy answer. He cashed, but now it's like Rahm. I mean, Xander, Scheffler, Burns, Victor. I mean, who's going to win the major?
Yeah, so I think the easy answers are Xander, Victor. I am so Sam Burns to me is like, when you're looking at advanced metrics, like if we were playing the baseball game, if this was a baseball podcast, I'd be deep into WAR right now, and I'd be like, look at all these advanced metrics and look how good Sam Burns is. That's the way I feel. All the advanced metrics are in the favor of Sam Burns. His major record is horrendous. Now we are going to see if that is just an anomaly and he's taken a big leap and he's going to get 4 more cracks at them this year. But I'm trying to reconcile the beautiful things that I see from Sam Burns on a weekly basis, how good his ceiling is, what a great approach player he is, how great the putter has been, with his very, very poor major championship record. And that would be my only hesitancy to not just like bang the table and say the answer is Sam Burns.
And honest, like we did that whole conversation about the young guns, like Zalatoris could just barnstorm them all. Like that's how incredible fun a place we are at right now. And it's at the point where when I was younger, maybe even starting in this game, Rick, I'd have like picked an allegiance, like a hardened allegiance, and then picked enemies. I just cheer for them all. Like I love them all. I want to see them all win. I want to see them all go head to head. Like that does it for me.
Yeah, it's fascinating. The game of golf, very deep, and you can rank these young guns any way you'd like. Let us know in the comments which is your ranking. The arguably biggest storyline of 2022, Geoff, is going to be the biggest name in the game of golf, and that's Tiger Woods. Obviously, as we enter 2022, 10 or so months from his horrible car accident, which required multiple surgeries and everything that goes along with the rehabilitation process there. But Tiger Woods, we saw the swing at the PNC Championship, of course, a hit and giggle of all hit and giggles. But what is a realistic on-course golf expectation for the big cat in the new year?
I'm not sure, but I do feel like we are being set up in some ways, because these guys they're so, like, to say they're wired differently wouldn't even be scratching the surface. For him to say what he said, and I don't think he lied in that press conference, but bringing up the realities of the situation and the strength. And then there's just video of him grinding on the range at the Hero for 4 straight days. Sundays, I know he's paid to do it, but Sunday regalia, red shirt, black pants, just ripping driver on the range 4 days after telling us like the strength. We see him at the PNC in the shots we've seen, Rick, where like I've seen enough full go. Like I only needed to see like max swing speed a few times to think things could really happen for us. So I get he's got to play this expectation in his brain of like setting us, keeping us, not over, not like over commenting. So he under delivers. I think he's sort of setting us up so he can over deliver. And that's totally fair. And I'm expecting it to happen. I'm not sure when he's going to play, but I have so many thoughts that we're going to get a full range of Tiger now. He's even going to play Champions Tour when he's older. And I didn't think he would do that before this accident, but he just loves the game and he loves to compete so much.
We were hoodwinked, Geoff. He came out and he gave us the old, I don't know, it's been tough for me to get any practice time in and X, Y, and Z. And then he does, the 4 days of grind at the Hero, and he's hitting at 296 yards at the PNC Championship. And I get that it is a complete and total difference, right? I do not want to even try to equate a PNC Championship to anything you are going to see on the PGA Tour. But from someone who was incredibly cautiously optimistic and said Tiger needs to prove nothing to us, and he still doesn't. If he doesn't play, if he does play, I don't really care. The game looks better than I could have ever imagined it being as we head into the new year.
And when he is healthy enough to play again, Rick, like as if it wasn't before, it's going to be so methodical to the places that can work for him. DL3 won Sedgefield at 53 years old. Tiger can go there and have no penalty off the tee and do everything he needs to do. Valspar, there's a collection of places that, if he wants to show up at, literally just make it, part of his lifetime rotation now on that limited schedule. It can absolutely work. But we're going to be oversatisfied, I think, when it's over. Like there's so much left. There's even the Charlie on the bag years that I don't think that we're going to get. And even that Phil Mickelson showed, going to play an occasional Champions Tour event when you're eligible can help you prepare for big events, can be great tune-up situations potentially for PGA Tour events. So, I got this dream where he completely just changes the Champions Tour golf becomes almost as hot of a television property because Tiger commits to it.
Yeah. And it is interesting because he's a guy who doesn't play multiple weeks in a row, wants to get the competitive juices flowing. Now that he has access or will have access to the Champions Tour to use as tune-ups, they play easier courses. They tend to be birdie fest. You can take a cart, but it would be competitive golf to keep the game sharp. It's almost like a nice happy medium between him not getting the juices flowing, not being able to play competitively on the range, but not playing a major or a PGA Tour event in which it might be a much tougher grind for him. It's almost like a little happy medium. I really love your Champions Tour take.
Yeah, no, I think we're in a great place. I think we're going to be for all the fears and thank God, he survived and it could have been so much worse. But for all the fears that we weren't going to get, not even so much winning again, but him I think we're just going to be so satisfied with where it goes. And like you said, it's such a rope-a-dope. And I've been reminded of, look at Brooks Koepka at his Ryder Cup press conference. He literally told us his body was glass. And then in the Ryder Cup, he went out there for 2-a-days on Saturday, 3 days after saying, I'm glass. So they're just wired differently. They need to tell us something to do it how they do it. And that's okay.
2022 will be all things golf from us, all things golf betting. Geoff Fienberg is available on Twitter at gfienberg17. You can find me at Rick Run Good. Geoff, here's to a great year. I'm looking forward to it, buddy.
Yeah, here's to that. And I'm going to say right now, the player that I'm going to lose the most money on in 2022, Rick, two of them, Corey Connors and Adam Scott. And they're kind of the same guy.
Yeah, I'll be with you on Connors if he doesn't win. We'll be down. Scott, I'm still warming on, but we will. If Connors doesn't win, we've lost all the money.
Yeah. So that's where I'll be.
All right, buddy. Good luck this year. We'll talk soon, and best of luck to everyone out there. We'll see you soon.